Welcome to Private Parts. I'm Fee and I'm here with Toya Ricci, who is a creative sexologist. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So, we were initially going to talk about pleasure and your work.
Yes.
And we were kind of doing the pre-brief for this episode. And we were talking about our philosophies in response to pain. And we kind of worked out that we had kind of a similar philosophy. So we were both talking about trying to find moments of joy when you're living with pain. And that's kind of a big part of the Private Parts philosophy is there are so many of us in this community that live in pain, but taking a moment to enjoy a good meal or appreciate walking around the block or whatever it is, brushing your teeth. It was brushing my teeth for the first time by myself after surgery.
Yes.
So take it at your own pace with this one, because I know this is the first time you've talked about this publicly, but we're going to talk about what happened to you 5 years ago and kind of how that led into where you are now.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. So about 5 years ago, I had it was about 18 months after having my second child, and I was ready to go up the career ladder. I was ready to get back into work and looking to start transitioning into being a creative director. And so I was at that really hard kind of leap from just being a graphic designer to wanting to take on management. So I was looking at all these roles, and it took me, I was about 8 months into the job search, and I still hadn't found anything. And I was deeply depressed because it's kind of soul crushing doing that. And I was seeing my doctor, and I was on fluoxetine, and it wasn't working. So he referred me to a psychiatrist, and she put me on lamotrigine, which is a mood stabilizer. And that was it helped. And then I was able to just keep cranking away, putting in the job applications. And so then I got a job, and it was about a week away. It was my son's 4th birthday coming up, and then I got very sick. I had flu-like symptoms, and I remember I had the 2-week follow-up with her, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's working, but I still don't feel. I feel like I've been sick since I've had it, but it's just a cold. Because often as a mother, you're just like, you can't be sick, so you just keep going.
Push it through.
And then I went and saw the doctor because I started to get a bit of conjunctivitis, and he gave me antibiotics and eye drops and everything. And then I woke up on the Saturday morning, and I was like, something still isn't right. I need to go to the emergency room. And so I did, and the doctor, at that point, I was taking on the borderline of the maximum amount of Panadol per day that you were allowed. And so she was kind of telling me off about that, and she wasn't very happy about it, but she's like, well, just do this test and we'll just see what happens. And so, in the emergency room for 2 hours, and then she comes back and she's like, you're having a reaction to something, but we don't know what it is. So we're going to admit you. And of course I was like, okay, all right, cool. I could do this. It's Saturday. It's still a week till I start my new job. It's, a week till the birthday party. Yeah, we'll just knock this out. And after that, there's not much that I really remember. So they put me, it was at Royal Melbourne, and I went in there, and I started getting sicker and sicker. And then they just kind of doped me up, put me in an induced coma. I have flashes of people coming in and saying, we think it's this. We're going to give you a blood transfusion, and it's going to help, with the antibodies are going to help fight it. And then they're like, tell us about these marks on your skin. And I'm like, what marks? What marks on my skin? And then they would look on my abdomen, and there was just all of these dark spots all over my skin. And they were like, have those always been there? And I'm like, no. And so all of this is in flashes. And then it's pretty dark after that. And I was in an induced coma, but it was still, I could hear everything that was going on. And they transferred me to to the Alfred. Because I had the reaction to lamotrigine was turned into toxic epidermal necrolysis syndrome. So basically my skin was just, it was dying and then sloughing off, and they can't stop it. So all they can do is just try to control it, and then the same way that they do with burns, and just make sure that I don't get any infections. And so all of my mucosal systems were affected. So that's why my eyes were affected. They had to shave off my hair. And to this day, my husband still feels so guilty about giving them permission to do that, because my hair has always meant so much to me. And I was just bandages everywhere. And, in that, I couldn't see. I was doped up. I didn't know what was real. I didn't know what wasn't real. And there was just all of these little moments where I was trying to put together what was happening to me. And what I realized is at the end of it, I was like, okay, I can't see. And so, I'm like, I just need to tell them that I need to start teaching me Braille so that I can learn how to read. I need to be able to function in my new life of just being blind, and there was lots of really terrible things that happened. I had a vocal cord edema. So, they had the incubator in so that I could breathe, but then I still couldn't talk because it was just, it was all damaged. And my eyes, there was I was very lucky that the ophthalmologist surgeon that was there, he was amazing, and he put amniotic membrane over my eyes to protect them, and it was the first time that had been done in that hospital. So just the fact that he had the foresight and that he was kind of it was a risk to do that, but that's what he decided that was what was best for my eyes. And, I've had lots of ophthalmologists since then, and none have been walked that line of I'm willing to push the line so that you can be comfortable, and, so there was moments like that, just connecting to him. And, and I remember a dermatologist coming in, and, he's like, you can't see me right now, but I'm really, really handsome,
Yeah.
So there was lots of humor. And I found that, one of the nurses, she was just insistent on playing the radio. And it was just this 80s easy listening music. But just one day I was just able to, all I could move was my feet. And I just remember just dancing to that. And I was like, this is okay. I can still get joy. This is everything. My world is so small, but dancing still gives me joy, and I can still do that. So, in my lucid moments, there was always one little thing that I could find that was joyful. And just coming in, and I remember the first time just being able to hold my husband's hand, and I couldn't talk. I couldn't, do anything but just squeeze his hand. And that was incredible intimacy at the time. And that just made me feel so happy. It made me feel so alone. And somehow he knew. All he kept saying was you don't have to worry about anything at home. The kids are fine. Everything is fine. You just focus on getting better. And then that just gave me what I needed to do. And so I was able to just hone in on that and just be okay, this is just it. This is just getting better. Just one day, next day, next lucid moment.
Yeah.
Next, just being kind of stuck in your body. And then I remember the day that I could see again, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, I could see. And all these amazing nurses suddenly came into focus for me, and I was like, oh my God, I could see you now. And they were so happy, and it was great.
Yeah,
just getting my vision back and being able to see the world. But then of course that meant that I could then see myself and everything that had happened to me. And it was interesting because through the whole process, my mind went to, this is happening to you, this is destroying you, but you will just be a better version of you at the end of it. And that was in my head. And I don't know why I was thinking that. And, I have no control over this. There was no coping mechanisms that I'm actively doing. This is just what happened. And every night, if I woke up and I was anxious, I was just happy, happy body, happy, happy body. And I would just say that to myself over and over again and just try to just put the energy into healing myself. So it was, so everything just kind of stripped away. And all that was there was just this lightness and this joy. And I could see my light in a way that I could never see it before. And it was amazing.
I guess in those times, you don't have the things that people usually base you on. You don't have your job. You don't have your social connection. You are just really stripped down to the core of yourself, which is the darkest place, but it can also be the place where you connect with yourself fully for the first time. Do you feel like that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of darkness. There was a lot of issues and guilt I felt around my children and in my marriage, and all of those just kind of I worked through. And then at the end, I was just like, okay, well, this is who you are. And I realized that I liked that person. So it's almost like, we go through life and you have these moments of like self-doubt and everything, and that feels like that's the deeper part of you, that's what's really inside of you. But actually, like, what's inside of me deep is confidence and like complete self-acceptance and self-love. But the self-doubt is the shallow parts. So I think so often we're just living in the shallow parts, but like we have to go deeper to get into that parts where we just like ourselves, which seems weird.
Yeah, it does. It does. I think that's really interesting thinking of, the kind of self-doubt is masking the pure self, like if we were just on our own running around naked with no judgment, we would probably just accept who we were and not have all these influences on ourselves.
Exactly.
So you went through all this went for a long time.
Yes, and still like going on now. I have eyelashes that still grow into my eye, so I've had 2 procedures this year to have electrolysis on my eyelids to get them to be removed, and so now I'm kind of going bald on my eyelashes. So, and I've always had thick, beautiful, luscious lashes. Yes. So just when you think you're finished mourning your old self, it's like some part of it just pops up again.
Yeah. Do you feel, and this is a hard question and you absolutely don't have to answer it, but do you feel as though you're glad you went through it? There's some kind of magic that comes from going through something like that, or do you just wish it had never happened?
It's funny when you have these serious illnesses or chronic illness, because it gives you strength and understanding about yourself in ways that other people can't even imagine. There's I used to worry about like acne scars, or like if I had a pimple on my back, and it's like now my back is full of scars. But we went to Hawaii and I was like very happy to wear my swimsuit, and I just did not care at all. So that type of like claiming your body, you're not going to fit in to whatever standard that's set, so you just kind of more aggressively accept yourself. So there's a lot of that's embedded in there, and teaching myself to not focus on the negativity and pain. So I had 2 vaginoplasties, and I had to use dilators, which I hated, not the least because they are just awful looking, because I went through the public health system and they're just these awful things, and that's the last thing you want to stick up there when you're experiencing that. But I thought, okay, like I have to like romance myself a bit with this, and so I made it a meditative experience, and it made it about pleasure, and that changed it, and that was just a decision to make with it. Otherwise I could have, because that is important to me, so I could have just done what they wanted me to do just so that it didn't stick, and then I probably wouldn't have reconnected with my body again. So I think there is ways to like go deep into it and just really question your body and the experience, and you can connect with your body in ways that other people can't access.
Yeah. Do you think that it's shaped, you obviously were talking about going into new roles and you were looking for jobs, and now you've landed here. Do you think that experience kind of led you there?
At the time, I would have said no, because I've always been interested in sex, and I did a psych degree way back in the day, but I couldn't come at it just kind of from the mental health perspective. But if someone had told me at that time that I could specialize in sex, I would have been right there. But what I didn't realize is that, working with people in clinical applications who are experiencing chronic illness and disabilities, that suddenly I have a whole way to empathize with them in a way that I just couldn't have imagined otherwise. Like when someone says to me, all of my mucous membranes are affected, then it's like, okay, yes, I know what that's like. And they're like, I have, no energy to do it because of this, that, like it's just like kind of crafted me to be this person who can really, really help them get back in touch with their sexual wellness, because I can understand what they're going through and the different things that you have to overcome, not just physically, but mentally as well.
Toya, thank you so much. Is there anything you would like to just let the private parts community know about your experience?
I feel like we can do, this is something my personal trainer always told me, is that like your body can do more than your mind will let you do. And I feel like it's the same like when you're healing and when you're in pain and when you're sick. It's like it's easy to be right there present in your body, but actually what's hurting you is your emotional responses, what's going on in your head. But really, if you listen to your body's trying to heal, your body's trying to get back. And really everything that I've gone through shows that my body's strong. Like, it's fierce. It's like, nah, like I'm so strong. I'm going to try to kill you to get this infection out of you, but then I'm going to heal you. Yeah. And that's all it's ever trying to do. And even like watching my kids and them be in their bodies, the bodies are always trying to take care of them. And it's about, being aware of that and present with it.
I've never really thought about it that way, but yeah, these pains inside us are actually our bodies trying to respond and help us. And that's actually, I've never really thought of that. It's almost like treat your body more positively in knowing that, the pains are signaling to you that something's wrong or that it's trying to fix you.
Yeah, and really it's just society that's telling us, don't listen to your body, don't trust your body, something's wrong with you. But if, as soon as you're in an environment that's like, you know what, it's like here I can come, I can sit and be cozy, then I'm like, oh, great, and that's like even what I look for now in doctors. Like I want them to be right there with me and to be present and like make room for my pain and like figure out how to make me more comfortable. Yes, it may not go away, but what can we do to make it more comfortable? And I think that's what, we should focus on, listening to our bodies and giving it space.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
God.
I can't believe it. What you've been through. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much.
You feel right?
Yeah, I do. It was, when you're telling that story, it's easy to kind of start going into your whole laundry list of like, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. But really, that's not the story. Like, the story is not physically what happened to me. It's how I kind of transformed and, and how it's just a part of me. Like, I could have like gone to France for 5 years, and then that would have been part of me. But this, it just happened to be an experience that happened in my body, and I was very lucky.
You're amazing.